I woke up to a splitting headache, unfamiliar ceiling, the faint, cool scent of expensive perfume in the air. I pushed myself up, the duvet sliding off, revealing the stunningly beautiful woman sleeping beside me. Her dark hair was a waterfall across the pillow, her skin like porcelain. Even with her eyes closed, an Ice Queen aura radiated from her, the kind that screamed, "Don't touch." My brain buzzed, and a memory that wasn't mine flooded my senses. I, Ethan Cole, had been dropped into a novel, specifically into the body of the pathetic, lovesick side character who shared my name in this power fantasy story. And the woman beside me? She was the book's ultimate villain, my former fiancée, Victoria Sterling. According to the original plot, my character was supposed to obsessively chase her, only to be financially and socially destroyed by her and the novel's hero. But now, I looked at the rumpled sheets, then at the faint, alluring blush at the corner of her eye. The plot seemed to have gone off the rails from page one, and in a rather thrilling way. Just then, her long eyelashes fluttered. She opened her eyes. Our gazes met. The air in the room turned to glass. Her expression shifted from hazy confusion to shock, then to a bone-chilling cold, all in the span of a second. "Ethan." Her voice was frigid and hoarse. I knew the show was about to begin. She was the villainous CEO for my simp FIC and my ex-fiancé, technically. Victoria Sterling's eyes were like two polished daggers aimed straight at me. She didn't say a word. She just sat up, gathered the dress pooled on the floor, and, with her back to me, began to put on, piece by piece. The whole process was silent, terrifyingly silent. I could see the elegant lines of her back tense as she moved, like she was suppressing a tidal wave of fury. I yawned and leaned back against the headboard, feeling lazy. Since I was here now, and apparently a top-tier trust fund kid, why bother struggling? The original character's pathetic end wasn't for me. From this day forward, I had only one goal: to coast. Enjoy good food, good wine, and a good life. As for Victoria Sterling, she was just a character in a book. A villain, no less. Best to stay far, far away. All dressed, I asked, my voice still thick with sleep. Victoria's movements paused. She turned slowly, her flawless face now a mask of ice. "Ethan, what happened last night was a mistake." Her voice was completely flat, as if she were stating a fact about a stranger. "I know," I nodded, giving her a look that said, "You don't have to explain, I get it." My nonchalant attitude seemed to catch her off guard. Based on her knowledge of the original Ethan, I should have been either ecstatic or weeping, promising to take responsibility for her. But all she saw was a sleepy, slightly annoyed man. Victoria's brow furrowed. She pulled a checkbook and a pen from her designer handbag. With a few sharp strokes, she tore out a check and held it out to me. "Here's $5 million. Last night never happened. From now on, we're even." I glanced at the check, at the number 5, followed by a satisfying string of zeros. I didn't take it. Victoria's eyes grew colder. "Not enough." She seemed convinced I was playing hard to get, trying to drive up the price. I didn't speak, just stared at her. She shifted, uncomfortable under my gaze, and chewed her lip before tearing out another check. $10 million. That's my limit. "Ethan, don't push it." I finally smiled. I reached out, but instead of taking the 2 checks, I plucked the entire checkbook from her hand. Victoria's face went white. She thought I was about to make an outrageous demand. "Ethan, don't you dare go too far." But in the next second, as she watched in stunned silence, I ripped the entire checkbook in half with a satisfying chirrup and tossed the pieces into the nearby wastebasket. "You, Ms. Sterling." I cut her off, leisurely throwing back the covers and walking barefoot toward the bathroom. "First, I don't need your money. Second, I'd already forgotten about last night. You're the one who keeps bringing it up." I paused at the bathroom door and shot her a grin over my shoulder. "And third, and most importantly, stop bothering me in the future. I just want to get some sleep." With that, I closed the bathroom door, shutting out her shock, her disbelief, her fury, and a flicker of something else I couldn't quite decipher. Humiliation. The sound of the shower filled the silence. I could only imagine the look on her face out there. The best part of life isn't what you have, but how many things you can say no to. From this day on, I, Ethan Cole, was living for myself. When I got out of the shower, Victoria was gone. The cool scent of her perfume still lingered in the air, a faint reminder that last night hadn't been a dream. She'd left a business card on the nightstand. Gold embossed lettering. Victoria Sterling, CEO, Sterling Enterprises. Below it, in smaller print, was her private cell number. Next to it, holding the card down, was a black credit card. I picked up the card, didn't even look at it, and snapped it in half, tossing the pieces in with the shredded checkbook. Is this woman for real? I muttered to myself, drying my hair. Pay me off, and it's like it never happened. What did she take me for? Still, this was for the best. The more she looked down on me, the less likely she was to bother me in the future, which was exactly what I wanted. I changed into some comfortable clothes, picked up my phone, and prepared to execute the first step of my grand coasting plan: eat. As a lifelong foodie, I knew my way around a tasting menu. Now, with this rich kid's resources, it would be a crime not to indulge. I dial my assistant. Alex, give me a reservation at Aria. The best table. For right now. Alex paused on the other end of the line, probably surprised that I wanted to go somewhere so exclusive first thing in the morning. Yes, Mr. Cole. I'll arrange it immediately. I hung up, humming a tune, and headed out the door in a great mood. Aria was the city's top dining experience, a 3-star Michelin restaurant where the head chef was a culinary legend. They supposedly only served 10 tables a night, with a reservation list that was booked a month in advance. But for a guy like me, those rules were merely suggestions. I took the flashiest car in the garage, a red Ferrari, and headed straight for the restaurant. As soon as I pulled up, a hostess in a sleek black dress came out to greet me. Mr. Cole, Alex already called. Your private room, the Celestial Suite, is ready for you. I nodded, satisfied, and followed her inside. The interior was a stunning, minimalist garden with a small, winding stream. It was clear that money could buy a very specific and very pleasant kind of tranquility. Just as I was about to enter my suite, the door to the adjacent room opened. A girl in a simple, white sundress stepped out. She had long, flowing hair and a gentle demeanor, her faint smile like a breath of fresh air that cut through the restaurant's opulent atmosphere. I recognized her instantly. Claire Hayes, the true heroine of this book, the idealized love interest of the original protagonist. A girl who radiated a goddess-like kindness and whose family background was, if anything, even more powerful than Victoria's. According to the original plot, she should have already met the hero by now. But at this moment, she was only with a graceful middle-aged woman who looked to be her mother. Claire seemed to have stepped out for a moment of quiet. She walked to the railing overlooking an indoor koi pond, her expression serene. An idea sparked in my mind. Victoria was an iceberg. You'd get frostbite just by touching her. But Claire, she was like an angel. Being with her, a sweet, low-key romance, days filled with good food and good company. That was the pinnacle of coasting. I smoothed my shirt and walked over. Hi, you a fan of the fish too? I used what I hoped was my most charming voice. Claire turned. A flicker of surprise crossed her face, which quickly softened into a polite smile. Yes, they look so free. Freedom is relative, I said, pointing at the pond. See, this pond is their whole world. But for them, maybe it's enough. Claire's eyes lit up, as if she were genuinely intrigued by my words. That's a good point. Aren't we all just swimming in our own little ponds? Just then, a jarring voice broke the moment. Claire, who's this? A young man in a tailored suit, looking slick and smug, strode over. His eyes, fixed on me, were full of scrutiny and a poorly concealed hostility. The guy moved next to Claire, striking what he clearly thought was a cool pose, his gaze scanning me up and down like a TSA agent. Claire, aren't you going to introduce me? Claire frowned slightly, her tone a little distant. Chad, this is a new friend I just met. She didn't even know my name, but she still classified me as a friend. What a genuinely nice person. I smiled at the guy, Chad, and extended my hand. Hey, I'm Ethan Cole. Chad shook it perfunctorily, his grip a little too firm, a clear attempt at a power move. Ethan Cole? He repeated my name. Then his face lit up with faux recognition, his voice rising theatrically. Oh, I know who you are. You're the Ethan Cole from the Cole Corporation. The son. He put a special emphasis on the word son, the condescension dripping from it. Everyone in this circle knew that Ethan Cole of the Cole Corporation was a good-for-nothing playboy who did nothing but party. Claire's frown deepened. She looked like she was about to say something, but I beat her to it. That's me, I admitted freely, without a hint of embarrassment. Pleasure. My complete lack of shame seemed to short-circuit the string of insults Chad had clearly prepared. He probably expected me to be ashamed, to get angry, to make excuses, but I didn't. I was here to coast. The reputation of a spoiled brat was the perfect cover. Well, you're certainly confident, Mr. Cole, Chad managed to squeeze out. Thanks, I said, pulling my hand back and turning to Claire with a bright smile. Ms. Hayes, I don't suppose I'd have the honor of inviting you to lunch? The truffle tasting menu here is supposed to be life-changing. Before Claire could answer, Chad jumped in. Sorry, Cole, but Claire's with me. He slung an arm around her shoulder, staking his claim. Claire's body went rigid. She subtly but firmly shrugged his arm off. Chad, please be respectful, she said, her voice turning cold. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. I watched Chad's face turn from pink to a blotchy red, and I had to hide a grin. Guys like this, the cartoonish antagonists, were the best spice in a story like this. Well, since Ms. Hayes is busy, I won't disturb you, I said, feigning disappointment as I turned to leave. Wait, Claire called out suddenly. I turned back. She looked at me, a hint of apology in her eyes. Mr. Cole, today really isn't a good time, but I enjoyed your perspective. I hope we could talk again soon. Then, she took out her phone. Could we exchange numbers? Chad's face went from red to a deep shade of purple. I suppressed a laugh, pulled out my own phone, and we swapped contact info. Feel free to call me anytime you want to talk about fish, I said with a wink. Claire giggled, a cute blush rising on her cheeks. Completely satisfied, I turned and went into my private room. I had just sat down when Alex called. Mr. Cole, we have a problem, he said, his voice tense. Did the sky fall? I asked, calmly pouring myself a cup of tea. No, it's Ms. Sterling's company, Sterling Enterprises, Alex reported. One of their major overseas projects just got hijacked. They're saying the losses are massive. The stock is already tanking. My hand, holding the teacup, paused. Overseas project? I remembered from the book that this failed project was the catalyst that forced Victoria to start working with the hero, which ultimately led to him taking over her company. This was a key plot point. Who's the company that outbid them? I asked casually. It's an investment firm called Apex Ventures. They're very mysterious, just popped up out of nowhere. I nearly choked on my tea. Apex Ventures, wasn't that the firm I told Alex and the team to set up, just to make me some pocket money on the side? Mr. Cole, sir, are you still there? Alex's voice on the phone was laced with anxiety. I'm here, I said, putting down my teacup and rubbing my temples. What kind of mess was this? All I wanted to do was coast, but my own employees were secretly overachieving behind my back and had accidentally torpedoed the villain's most important project. This Apex Ventures thing, hijacking the Sterling project, was that on my orders? I asked, genuinely unsure. The last instruction I remembered giving them was something like, I'm bored. Find something to do. Just don't lose any money. Did they interpret that as go bankrupt Sterling Enterprises? Their reading comprehension skills were truly off the charts. Not directly, sir, Alex answered cautiously. We analyzed the market and found that while the Sterling project looked profitable, it was extremely high risk, and their proposal had several major flaws. We just presented a better option, and the client chose us. So we went on merit? Yes, Mr. Cole. And we also shorted Sterling stock on the side. Made a nice little profit, Alex said, a hint of excitement in his voice, as if he were seeking praise. I was silent. What was I supposed to say? Good job. But I just wanted to be a lazy bum. How could I relax and do nothing when they were all being so ambitious? Got it. I finally said, my enthusiasm gone. From now on, just handle things like this. You don't need to report every detail to me. Yes, sir. Alex sounded even more thrilled. I hung up, feeling exhausted. This team was too much work. Meanwhile, in the CEO's office at Sterling Enterprises, Victoria Sterling stared, her face a frozen mask, at the dejected-looking executives seated around the conference table. Can someone tell me, she began, her voice dangerously quiet, who the hell is Apex Ventures? Why was our proposal leaked? And how did they come up with a more perfect plan overnight? 3 questions, delivered like gunshots, silenced the room. Her personal assistant shakily handed her a folder. Ms. Sterling, we looked into it. Apex Ventures is an offshore company, registered less than 6 months ago. Their background is completely untraceable. It's like they materialized out of thin air. Useless. Victoria slammed the folder on the table. The executives flinched. Dig. Keep digging. I want you to find out everything about this company, even if you have to tear this city apart to do it. Victoria's voice was filled with rage and a sliver of helplessness. This was the biggest defeat she had suffered since taking over the company. Just then, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She answered impatiently. Who is this? Victoria, long time no see. A voice she didn't expect came through the line. It was Chad Peterson. What do you want? Victoria's tone was cold. Business, of course, Chad said, his voice smug. I saw your ex-fiancé, Ethan Cole, today. At the mention of Ethan, Victoria's brow instinctively tightened. The man who had ripped up her checks that morning and told her not to bother him. He was with a very pretty girl. The one from the Hayes family, Claire Hayes, Chad continued. Victoria, everyone in our circle is talking about how you broke off the engagement. And now Ethan's already found his next target, and Hayes, no less. It doesn't look good for you. That's none of your business. Victoria cut him off coldly. How is it not my business? I'm genuinely in love with Claire, Chad said, changing his tune. But a waste of space like Ethan is probably just playing around. Just a friendly warning, Victoria. The Hayes family is just as powerful as yours. If Ethan pisses them off, the Cole family will get dragged down with him. After hanging up, Victoria felt even more irritated. Ethan Cole, Claire Hayes. An image of Ethan's nonchalant face from that morning flashed in her mind. How could a useless playboy get close to someone like Claire Hayes? Could it be another one of his pathetic tricks to get her attention? The more she thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. That man was just as repulsive as ever. The food at Ario was as expected, Divine. I left feeling completely satisfied. Full and content, I drove my Ferrari aimlessly through the city center. My phone buzzed. A text from Claire Hayes. Mr. Cole, thank you for your fish philosophy today. It really gave me a new perspective. It was followed by a cute, smiley face. I smiled, steering with one hand as I texted back. Call me Ethan. What did you figure out? I figured out that instead of swimming in someone else's pond, I should build a bigger one for myself. Well now, the girl had ambition. I like that. I like your style. Need a bulldozer? I'll sponsor it. There was a pause, then a series of ha-has came back. Ethan, you're really funny. Only the third funniest person in the city, but I try. Chatting with a beautiful woman was a great way to pass the time. Just as I was enjoying the conversation, a call came in. It was Alex. I answered, slightly annoyed. What now? Mr. Cole, a minor issue. Spit it out. Chad Peterson, from Peterson Corp. He's been spreading rumors about you at a public event, saying you're a good-for-nothing, that you don't deserve Ms. Hayes and that you were pathetically obsessed with Ms. Sterling after she broke the engagement. I raised an eyebrow. This Chad character was really committed to his role as cannon fodder. Okay, and I wasn't bothered in the slightest. My public persona was that of a playboy. He was basically just stating the facts. And our PR team acted without waiting for your instruction, Alex said, his tone a little hesitant. What did they do? They anonymously sent evidence of Peterson Corp's tax evasion and fraudulent accounting from the last 3 years to the IRS and the SEC. My hand jerked on the wheel, and the Ferrari swerved in a graceful S-curve down the road. Mr. Cole, are you okay? I'm fine, I said, pulling over and taking a deep breath. I was just wondering if our company is an investment firm or an FBI task force. Alex chuckled nervously on the other end. Well, he was insulting you, sir. It made us angry. The team consensus was that the boss is allowed to coast, but we can't let outsiders bully him. That surprisingly almost touched me. Fine, just don't make a habit, I said, though I was thinking that Chad had really asked for it. Yes, sir. And one more thing, Mr. Cole, just get it all out. We found out that Chad Peterson had a hand in Sterling Enterprises' project failure. He leaked Sterling's bid to another competitor, trying to get on Victoria's good side. We just happened to intercept it first. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Chad was a comedic genius. He tried to be the hero, ended up being the fool and managed to sink his own family's company in the process. Understood. Hanging up, I looked out at the bustling city streets. It occurred to me that a life of coasting was full of unexpected entertainment. At that very moment, Chad had no idea that disaster was looming. He was at a business gala, bragging to anyone who would listen about how close he was with Claire Hayes, while simultaneously trashing me, her pathetic ex. Victoria Sterling was also at the gala. She stood in a corner, holding a glass of red wine, coldly observing Chad's clownish performance. She didn't believe a word he said, but the thought of Ethan and Claire together did leave a sour taste in her mouth. Suddenly, a group of people in suits burst into the venue. "Which one of you is Chad Peterson of Peterson Corp?" The man in the lead asked, his face grim as he flashed a badge. The entire room fell silent. The smile on Chad's face froze. I am. Is there a problem? We're from the Economic Crimes Division. Chad Peterson, you're under investigation for corporate bribery, accounting fraud, and insider trading. You need to come with us." Cold metal cuffs snapped around Chad's trembling wrists. The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Chad was completely stunned. He started yelling, "This is impossible. You've made a mistake. I've been framed. Someone set me up." Victoria stood rooted to the spot, watching the drama unfold, her pupils contracting sharply. It was too fast. From the moment Chad started spreading rumors to his arrest, barely an hour had passed. Behind the scenes, an invisible hand had moved with lightning speed and crushed him like an ant. Who could it be? A ridiculous thought, one she couldn't control, surfaced from the depths of her mind. Ethan Cole? No, impossible. She immediately dismissed the idea. How could that useless, party-obsessed brat command such power? It had to be a coincidence. Yes, that was it. A coincidence. The gala ended on a sour note. Victoria sat in her car, but for a long time, she didn't start the engine. She took out her phone, and, as if guided by some strange impulse, she opened Ethan's contact profile. It was still the default landscape picture. His social media was a blank slate. The man was an enigma. One minute he was acting like a punk, ripping up her checks, and the next he was charming Claire Hayes. One moment he was being mocked by Chad, and the next Chad was being hauled off to jail. Could all of this really be just a coincidence? She tossed her phone onto the passenger seat in frustration, her thoughts a tangled mess. Meanwhile, I was driving to a new speakeasy I owned, planning to try a new small batch bourbon. My phone rang again. This time it was Claire. "Ethan, did you see the news? Chad Peterson was arrested." Her voice was filled with surprise. "I saw. The long arm of the law, and all that," I said with mock seriousness. She laughed. "I don't know why, but I have a feeling you had something to do with it. A woman's intuition is a terrifying thing." Me? I denied it instantly. "I'm just a simple guy trying to relax. I don't have that kind of power." "Really?" she teased, a playful note in her voice. "I just feel like there's more to you than meets the eye. That's just because I'm so handsome. I come with a built-in soft focus filter." Claire burst out laughing again. "Okay, I'll stop teasing. My mom's calling me. By the way, there's a charity auction gala this weekend. Are you free?" she asked. Of course. For a date with a beautiful woman, I was always free. "It's a date, then. See you there." I hung up, feeling even better. Being with a smart, funny girl like Claire was like a breath of fresh air. Not like being with Victoria. You had to turn up the thermostat just to be in the same room with her. Soon, I arrived at my private bar, the Alchemist Nook. The place wasn't open to the public. It was just for me and my friends. I had just sat down when Alex materialized like a ghost, holding a laptop. "Mr. Cole, the briefing you requested." "When did I request a briefing?" I asked, confused. "You said you wanted a coast, didn't you?" Alex said with an "I know exactly what you need" expression. "I've streamlined all the company decisions that require your input into a multiple choice format. You just have to pick A, B, or C. I've included detailed risk and profit analyses for each option." I stared at him, speechless. A genius. This man was an absolute genius. He was working this hard just so his boss could be lazier. "All right then," I said. "What else could I do?" I picked up a glass of the freshly opened bourbon, took a sip, and savored the smooth, sweet, and complex flavor. "Let's go with this one," I said, randomly pointing at the option on the screen that looked like the least amount of work. "Excellent choice, Mr. Cole." Alex said, clutching the laptop like a holy relic before disappearing as silently as he had appeared. I just shook my head and went back to my drink. Little did I know, my random finger poke had just sent another shockwave through the financial world. 2 days later, a business headline stunned everyone. Mysterious firm Apex Ventures strikes again, acquiring bankrupt Blue Ocean Tech in a precision buyout. In the CEO's office at Sterling Enterprises, Victoria read the news and slammed her coffee mug down on the desk, splashing brown liquid everywhere. Apex again. Blue Ocean Tech was a company Sterling Enterprises had been trying to acquire for months. They owned a critical microchip technology. But because the company was so deep in debt, Victoria had been hesitating, waiting for them to go completely under, so she could buy it for pennies on the dollar. And now, Apex had beaten her to it, and the timing of their acquisition was flawless, executed just moments before Blue Ocean's funding completely collapsed. This could no longer be explained away by coincidence. There had to be a master strategist behind Apex, someone who could predict every move. Sarah, Victoria yelled for her assistant. Ms. Sterling, I want a full report. I want to know everything Ethan Cole has done for the past 2 days. She didn't want to believe it, but she had to know. That absurd idea was now wrapped around her heart like a vine, squeezing tight. The charity auction gala was a who's who of the city's elite. I was dressed in a tailored tuxedo, with the evening's most dazzling accessory on my arm, Claire Hayes. She wore a pale lavender gown that set off her fair skin and elegant grace. The moment she walked in, every eye was on her. You look beautiful tonight, I said, and I meant it. Claire blushed, leaning in to whisper in my ear. You look very handsome, too. That suit, it shows off your figure. Her eyes drifted unconsciously toward my midsection. I chuckled, whispering back, want to check? 8-pack, the real deal. Her face turned crimson, cute as a ripe apple. Our intimate, oblivious to the world exchange did not go unnoticed by Victoria Sterling, who was standing not far away. She was in a black, strapless gown, exuding a powerful cold glam aura. But her gaze was fixed on us, sharp as a poisoned dart. When she saw Claire whisper in my ear, her knuckles whitened around her wine glass. I felt her stare, looked up, raised my glass to her, and gave her a deliberately provocative smile. Victoria's expression instantly became 3 shades colder. Interesting, I thought. The woman clearly despises me, yet she can't stand seeing me happy. What was that about? Just her pathetic, wounded pride as the city's golden girl, that's what. Soon, the auction began. The first few items were jewelry and paintings. I wasn't interested. Then, the auctioneer brought out a sapphire necklace called the Heart of the Ocean. This necklace was designed by the master jeweler Allen himself, a one-of-a-kind piece. The bidding starts at $5 million. I saw Claire's eyes light up. She clearly loved it. You like it? I asked. She nodded, then shook her head. It's too expensive. If you like it, that's all that matters. I raised my paddle. 10 million. My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough to make the entire room turn and look. Everyone knew the Cole family was rich, but no one expected a playboy like me to drop 10 million on a necklace. Some greasy-looking heir, obviously trying to impress Victoria, raised his paddle. 11 million. I didn't even glance at him. I raised my paddle again. 20 million. A collective gasp went through the room. Jumping the bid by almost 10 million wasn't bidding. It was a statement. The other guy's face went pale, and he meekly lowered his paddle. The auctioneer's voice trembled with excitement. 20 million going once. 20 million going twice. Just as the hammer was about to fall, a cold, clear voice cut through the room. 25 million. It was Victoria. She stood up, her gaze locked on mine, challenging me. Everyone's heads swiveled back and forth between us. The air crackled with tension. An ex-fiancé and fiancé, publicly fighting over a piece of jewelry. This was far more entertaining than the auction itself. Claire tugged on my sleeve. Ethan, let it go. I don't need it, she whispered. I patted her hand reassuringly. Then I looked at Victoria, slowly raised my paddle, and held up 3 fingers. 30 million. My tone was flat, as if I were talking about pocket change. Victoria's breath hitched. She hadn't expected me to keep going. She had come tonight after receiving her assistant's report. For the past 2 days, besides eating and drinking, The only other place Ethan had gone was a private bar that wasn't open to the public. She didn't believe it, so she investigated herself. The legal owner of that bar was, in fact, Ethan Cole. Her suspicion that Ethan was behind Apex grew stronger. Her bidding on the necklace was a test of my financial power, a test of my nerve. But my calm, unbothered demeanor gave nothing away. Ms. Sterling, are you going to raise? I asked with a smile. Every eye in the room was on her. Her expression shifted, and finally, with a cold look, she sat back down. She had given up. 30 million sold. To Mr. Cole. Amidst thunderous applause, I claimed the heart of the ocean. I didn't put it away. Instead, in front of everyone, I personally fastened it around Claire's neck. The brilliant blue sapphire glittered against her skin. Perfect, I said, looking at her gently. It belongs to you. Claire's eyes welled up. She stood on her toes and planted a soft kiss on my cheek. The room buzzed with whispers and gasps. And in the corner, Victoria Sterling watched, the light from the sapphire feeling like a sharp pain in her eyes. She had lost. Lost in a way she couldn't comprehend. Lost completely. After the gala, I drove Claire home. Soft music played in the car, setting a perfect mood. Ethan, today. Thank you, Claire said quietly, her fingers tracing the necklace at her throat. I'd do anything for you, I said, taking her hand and lacing my fingers through hers. Her hand was soft and cool. The car stopped in front of the Hayes family's gated mansion. I got out to open her door, but she hesitated. What's wrong? She looked up, her eyes like clear pools in the moonlight. Ethan, are you hiding something from me? My heart skipped a beat. Like Apex Ventures? She asked, each word deliberate. I was silent. The day Chad was arrested, I asked my father to look into it. The kind of power it takes to get the Economic Crimes Division to move in an hour with a full dossier of evidence. That's not something a normal person can do. Then, when Apex acquired Blue Ocean Tech, my father said the person behind it was a once-in-a-generation genius. Ruthless, with an uncanny eye for opportunity. She looked straight into my eyes. Ethan, that person is you, isn't it? I looked at her earnest face and knew I couldn't lie. I sighed. Yes. I expected her to be shocked, to ask a million questions. But she didn't. She just smiled, a knowing, gentle smile. I knew it, she said, and then she threw her arms around me, holding me tight. I knew you weren't what they said you were. And you're not afraid? I might not be as nice as you think, I said, stroking her long hair. I'm not afraid, she murmured, nuzzling against my chest like a kitten. I trust you. Whatever you do, I'll trust you. At that moment, something deep inside me melted. So this was the heroine's power? Unconditional trust. Unconditional love. I had to admit, it felt pretty damn good. You fool, I whispered, then I bent down and kissed her. The kiss was light, soft, and tasted of sweet champagne. After a long moment, we broke apart. She blushed, stepping back from my embrace. I should go. Drive safe. Watching her run into the mansion, I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. A life of coasting, and I still get to win the ultimate prize. Worth it. I drove home in a fantastic mood. As I pulled up to my gate, I saw a black Bentley parked there. The window rolled down, revealing Victoria Sterling's icy face. We need to talk. She had obviously been waiting for me. I don't think we have anything to talk about, I said, leaning against my car door, making no move to be friendly. Apex, it's yours, isn't it? She asked, getting straight to the point. What if it is? What if it isn't? I shot back. Why? Her voice trembled slightly. You have this kind of ability, so why did you pretend to be a failure? Why did you watch me make a fool of myself in front of you? Ms. Sterling, you've got one thing wrong, I said with a cold laugh. I never pretended. I really am a failure. All I want to do is coast. It's all of you who keep trying to make me do things. As for you, I walked to her car, bent down, and looked her straight in the eye. You didn't act like a fool in front of me. You are a fool. With that, I turned and walked into my house, leaving her to process my words in the cold night air, her face pale as a ghost. The next day, a trending topic blew up on Twitter. Ethan Cole didn't get up today either. Clicking on it revealed a paparazzi photo. In the picture, I was on the balcony of my penthouse in my pajamas, stretching lazily as the sun rose behind me. The caption read, "The daily struggle of Cole Corporation heir Ethan Cole, deciding when to finally get out of bed." Some gossip account posted it, and it went viral instantly. The comments were surprisingly unified. This is how a rich kid should live. Why work when your family owns a gold mine? I am so jealous. My life goal is to become Ethan Cole. LOL, he won the genetic lottery. Why are you all so salty? Am I the only one noticing that body? Those abs, that villain. Drooling. But the craziest part was that the official Twitter account for Apex Ventures retweeted the post with a single comment. The boss's happiness is our primary KPI. That one tweet broke the internet. Who was Apex Ventures? The mysterious corporate shark that had been terrorizing Wall Street, the name that made titans of industry tremble. And their boss was Ethan Cole, the legendary good-for-nothing playboy. The news was more explosive than any financial report. The stock prices for both the Cole Corporation and any company associated with Apex Ventures shot through the roof. Investors flooded the Apex Twitter account. Mr. Cole, we're begging you. Please keep sleeping in tomorrow. Don't you dare get up. As long as you're horizontal. Our portfolios are vertical. Have you done your part to support Ethan Cole's sleep schedule today? I stared at the ridiculous news and comments on my phone, feeling completely numb. I just wanted to coast in peace. How did I become a national meme? Alex's call came right on cue, his voice buzzing with unprecedented excitement. Mr. Cole, we've gone viral. The company's brand value has increased tenfold overnight. You're a marketing genius. I said, I didn't do anything. No, you did, Alex exclaimed. Your very existence is the best marketing. You've defined a whole new, aspirational lifestyle, the Cole Coast. I hung up, feeling like the world was getting weirder by the second. And right now, no one was feeling that weirdness more than Victoria Sterling. She stared at the news on her phone, at that infuriating photo, at the sea of laughing comments, and then at the glaring red downward trend of her own company's stock chart. She felt as if her entire worldview had been shattered. Her business acumen, which she had always been so proud of, her sleepless nights of work, her career, which she had built by sacrificing all personal attachments. In the face of Ethan's coasting, it all seemed so pathetic, so utterly laughable. He had done nothing, and yet he had effortlessly achieved everything she had ever dreamed of. An overwhelming sense of failure and absurdity washed over her. She picked up her phone, and with a trembling hand, she dialed the number she had once viewed with such contempt. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. Hello. It was my lazy, indifferent voice. Ethan. Victoria's voice was hoarse. It's me. Oh, what's up? What? What do you want from me? She asked, her voice cracking on the verge of tears. I don't want anything, I said, genuinely confused. I just want to sleep. You people are the ones who won't let me. Ms. Sterling, if there's nothing else, I'm going to hang up. I have a spa appointment. Wait, she cried out. Can we meet? Just once. Her tone held a note of something she herself had never heard before. A plea. In the end, I agreed to see her. We met at a quiet tea house. She was already there when I arrived. She wasn't wearing a power suit today, but a simple, elegant white dress. She wore no makeup, making her look tired, but also gave her a fragile, almost pitiable beauty. The tea in front of her was cold. She had clearly been waiting a while. So what's this about? I asked, sitting down and getting straight to the point. She looked at me, her eyes a storm of conflicting emotions, resentment, confusion, and something else. Something I couldn't read. Why are you doing this to me? She asked. What exactly have I done to you? I countered. You're playing me. You've been laughing at me this whole time, she said, her voice rising. Ms. Sterling, let's be clear, I said, pouring myself a cup of tea. You're the one who started all of this. You thought you could pay me off. You thought I wasn't good enough for Claire Hayes. You were the one who had to challenge me at the auction. I was just reacting. My words were like daggers, each one hitting its mark. Her face went pale. Her lips moved, but no sound came out, because everything I said was true. She took a deep breath, as if she had come to a momentous decision. Ethan, can we go back to how things were? I almost choked on my tea. Go back to how things were? You mean back to when I was your pathetic simp and you couldn't be bothered to give me the time of day? I looked at her like she was an idiot. No, that's not what I mean, she said, shaking her head frantically. We can start over. I know I was wrong before. I misjudged you. You're 100 times, 1,000 times more brilliant than I ever imagined. Our families are a perfect match. We're the ones who are meant to be. Stop. I cut her off. Ms. Sterling, are you confused? You're not in love with me, Ethan Cole. You're in love with the idea of the CEO of Apex Ventures. If I were still that same useless trust fund kid, would you be sitting here saying any of this? She was silenced again. So, drop the ridiculous fantasy, I said, standing up to leave. I may not be a great guy, but at least I'm not blind. I'm in love with Claire Hayes. It has only and always been her. Between you and me, there is nothing left but a professional rivalry. That's it. I left her with those words and walked out without a second glance. I didn't see the 2 tears that traced paths down her famously stoic face after I turned my back. She finally understood what she had lost. It wasn't a business partner, nor a tool to be used. It was something she once could have had for the taking, but could now never get back. A genuine heart. With the Victoria situation resolved, my life of coasting finally got on track. My relationship with Claire deepened quickly. We would explore hole-in-the-wall restaurants together, and she would help me taste test my experimental craft cocktails. My Ferrari became her personal chariot, and her ragdoll cat became best friend with my golden retriever, Lazy. The two of them spent most of their days rolling around together on my lawn, even more attached than we were. One afternoon, I was in the kitchen making Claire her favorite dish, a complex beef Wellington. It was a pain to make, requiring precision and perfect timing. But I loved it. I was discovering that cooking for someone you love is its own kind of pleasure. Claire came up from behind and wrapped her arms around my waist, resting her chin on my shoulder like a clingy kitten. Smells amazing. Almost ready, I said, pulling the perfectly golden brown pastry from the oven. The rich aroma filled the kitchen. How did you learn to cook so well? She asked curiously. Because I love to eat, I said, transferring the Wellington to a cutting board to rest. If you want something done right, you can't always rely on others. In that case, I'll cook for you every day from now on, she said, kissing my cheek. Oh, no, you don't, I said, tapping her on the nose. My goddess is meant to be spoiled, not to be slaving away in a hot kitchen. She beamed at my words. Just as we were about to eat, Alex called again. Mr. Cole, great news. Go on, I said, completely used to his constant state of excitement. Victoria Sterling. She came to our office. Oh, I paused. To cause a scene? No, Alex said, his voice brimming with gossipy glee. She came. For a job interview. An interview? I was sure I had misheard him. Yes. She brought a resume and applied for the Director of Investments position. She said she's willing to start from the bottom, just for a chance to work under you and learn. My hand, holding my fork, froze midair. Claire, who had overheard, covered her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. The high and mighty Ice Queen, the CEO of Sterling Enterprises, wanted to be a director of my company and work under me to learn. This plot twist was more ridiculous than the novel I had originally fallen into. What happened to her? I muttered. So, Mr. Cole, should we give her a chance? Alex asked tentatively. What do you think? I tossed the question back at him. I think we should. Alex's mind was clearly working overtime. Ms. Sterling's skills are legendary in the industry. If she joins us, our team would be unstoppable. Besides, you want to coast, right? With her doing all the hard work, you could reach new levels of doing nothing. His argument, I had to admit, was persuasive. I looked at Claire, asking for her opinion. Claire thought for a moment, then smiled. I think Alex is right. And besides, I kind of feel sorry for her. Of course. The heroine's halo of kindness was shining bright. Well, he sighed. Let her go through the process. But tell HR to treat her like any other candidate. Whether she gets the job is up to her. You got it. Brilliant decision, sir. After I hung up, I looked at Claire and shook my head in disbelief. You're not jealous at all? Of course I'm jealous, Claire said, spearing a perfect slice of Wellington and feeding it to me. She smiled like a cat that got the cream. Very jealous, which means you'll have to make it up to me. And how do I do that? She leaned in and whispered something in my ear. My face instantly turned red. My sweet angel, it seemed, was slowly evolving into a mischievous little devil. And I absolutely loved it. Victoria Sterling passed the interviews and officially joined Apex Ventures. Her first day caused a sensation throughout the company. Every employee was sneaking glances, staring at the legendary Ice Queen as if she were a zoo exhibit. Victoria, however, was completely unfazed. She wore a sharp, professional suit, completed her onboarding paperwork with meticulous care, and then, carrying a stack of files, she knocked on my office door. "Mr. Cole, this is my analysis of all the company's current projects, along with my investment recommendations for the next 3 quarters. For your review." She stood before my desk, bowing her head slightly. Her attitude was humble and respectful, a world away from the arrogant CEO she used to be. I was leaning back in my chair, my feet up on the desk, playing a game on my console. I didn't even look up. Just leave it there. She silently placed the files on the corner of my desk, then stood there, waiting. She didn't speak, and she didn't leave. I played my game for a solid 30 minutes. She stood there for a solid 30 minutes. The only sound in the office was the explosive sound effects from a game. Finally, I finished a round and stretched. Something else. I glanced at her. "No, Mr. Cole, I'm awaiting your instructions." "I don't have any instructions," I yawned. "My only instruction is for you all to work hard so I can relax. Don't bother me unless it's an emergency." With that, I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door. "Mr. Cole," she called out, "did Ms. Hayes not visit you today?" I stopped and turned back to look at her. "I don't believe that's any of your business, Director Sterling. I was just concerned about you," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Concerned?" I laughed. "Director, save the act. Do your job and stop trying to play games. We don't carry dead weight at this company." I left her standing there with that parting shot. From that day on, Victoria was like a different person. She became the hardest working employee in the company, the first to arrive and the last to leave. She used her brilliant business mind to land one massive deal after another, putting even my team of overachievers to shame. She never approached me directly, but every single day, without fail, a detailed work report would appear on my desk. She seemed determined to prove herself through her actions. But I kept my distance. Some mistakes, once made, can't be unmade. A broken mirror can't be perfectly repaired. One evening, Claire seemed off. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I asked, pulling her into my arms. "Ethan," she mumbled in my chest, "my father, he wants to meet you." "Meet me? That's great news. Every son-in-law has to face the music eventually," I joked. "No," she shook her head. He has some misunderstandings about you. He heard about Victoria working at your company, and he thinks you're playing both sides." My brow furrowed. "And there's this guy, Leo Vance. He's been pursuing me. He's the son of my dad's old army buddy, and my dad really likes him." "Leo Vance?" I searched my memory for the name. There it was. Leo Vance, the true protagonist of the novel. The man who, through sheer charisma and plot armor, clawed his way to the top, eventually winning over both Victoria and Claire. He had finally made his appearance. It seemed my peaceful, coasting life was about to face its final boss. Claire's father, Robert Hayes, chose a heavily secured private club for our meeting. When I arrived, there was another young man in the room with him. He was tall and built, with a chiseled face and eyes as sharp as a hawk's. He carried himself with the unmistakable, disciplined air of a soldier. This had to be Leo Vance. "Mr. Hayes, a pleasure," I said politely, completely ignoring Leo. Robert Hayes was a man who commanded respect without saying a word. He gave me a once-over, didn't invite me to sit, and instead gestured to Leo. "Ethan, this is Leo Vance. He just got back from a peacekeeping tour overseas. A decorated hero." He introduced Leo, but not me. The power play was obvious. Leo nodded at me, his eyes analytical, with a hint of superiority. "Mr. Cole, I've heard a lot about you." "Likewise," I replied coolly. "Sit," Robert Hayes finally said. I pulled out a chair and sat across from them. "Ethan, I'm not going to beat around the bush," he began. "Claire is my only daughter. I want her to find a man she can truly depend on for the rest of her life. A man of character, with a sense of responsibility and integrity." He paused, his tone shifting. "Not a playboy who coasts on his family name, surrounds himself with women, and can't even untangle himself from his ex-fiancée." The accusation was heavy. Before I could respond, Leo spoke up. "Mr. Hayes, you shouldn't be so harsh. For Mr. Cole to build Apex Ventures into what it is. He must have some extraordinary talents. It sounded like he was defending me, but his tone was dripping with a condescending, I see through you attitude. However, he continued, looking at me, your handling of your personal life does seem improper. Since Ms. Sterling is in your past, keeping her so close is unfair to Claire. He delivered this with the air of a concerned friend, as if he were Claire's rightful protector. I smiled. Mr. Vance, in what capacity are you lecturing me? Leo was taken aback. As your host's army buddy's son, I finished for him. Or do you believe you love Claire more than I do? Of course I love her more than you do. Leo shot to his feet, provoked. I've loved Claire since we were kids. To be worthy of her, I studied hard. I joined the military. I risked my life on the battlefield. Everything I've done has been for her. What have you done? Besides being born into the right family, what have you ever done? He was passionate, righteous. Robert Hayes looked on, a flicker of approval on his face. I, however, just picked up my teacup and blew gently on the steam. Are you finished? I waited until they had both settled down before I spoke again, my voice calm and measured. First, Victoria Sterling works for my company because she is qualified, and Claire was fine with it. My company hires based on talent, not personal history. Second, you say you love Claire, but have you ever asked Claire if she loves you? All your efforts have only served to make yourself feel noble. You see Claire as a prize to be won, the most glorious medal for your collection. I, on the other hand, just want her to be a happy, carefree princess. And third, and most importantly, I set my teacup down, stood up, and looked Leo Vance straight in the eye. What makes you think you're better than me? As the words left my mouth, the door to the room opened. Alex walked in, flanked by several men in dark suits. He was holding a file, which he handed to Robert Hayes. Mr. Hayes, my boss asked me to give this to you. It's a complete dossier on Mr. Vance's activities overseas, including evidence of his involvement in a diamond smuggling ring. The color drained from Leo Vance's face. That's impossible. You're lying, Leo yelled, his voice cracking with panic and disbelief. Robert Hayes's expression changed. He snatched the file and began to flip through it. The evidence was all there: bank transfers, recorded calls, witness statements. It was a perfectly constructed case. The more he read, the darker his face became, his hands beginning to tremble slightly. Ethan, you? He looked up at me, his eyes wide with shock. To dig up Leo's secrets from halfway across the world in such a short amount of time. The power that required was beyond his comprehension. Mr. Hayes, I respect you as Claire's father, I said calmly. That's why I'm giving you the courtesy of handling this privately, instead of sending this file where it belongs. I just wanted to show you that your judgment of character might be a little off. The man you see as a hero might just be a villain in disguise. And the playboy you look down on might be more than you think. I walked over to Leo. He scrambled backward, falling back into his chair. As for you, I said, looking down at him, stay away from my fiancée, because next time this file will end up on the desk of the Department of Justice. Without another glance at either of them, I turned and left the room. When I stepped outside the club, I saw Claire waiting for me. She was obviously worried. The moment she saw me, she ran over. Ethan, are you okay? My dad. He didn't give you a hard time, did he? I smiled and pulled her into a hug. I'm fine. The person who can give me a hard time hasn't been born yet. You're impossible, she said, punching my chest lightly, but the worry on her face finally melted away. Come on, I'll take you to get something good to eat. We have something to celebrate. Celebrate what? Celebrate clearing out the final obstacle. Our empire of coasting can now reign supreme for 1,000 years. She giggled at my ridiculousness. After we left, the room was shrouded in a dead silence. Leo Vance sat slumped in his chair, his face ashen. Robert Hayes looked as if he had aged 10 years. He stared at the file in his hands and let out a long, heavy sigh. He knew he had been wrong. Ethan Cole wasn't some dragon hiding in the shallows. He was a leviathan, slumbering in the abyss, capable of stirring the seas at will. And his daughter had found the strongest anchor in the entire world. After that day, no one bothered our peaceful, coasting lives again. Leo Vance disappeared without a trace, and Robert Hayes never voiced another objection to our relationship. Victoria Sterling continued to be a workaholic powerhouse at my company, though now her gaze held a new respect and a final, resigned acceptance. She seemed to have found her place, pouring all her energy into her career and becoming the consummate professional. As for me, I entered into a blissful, shameless life of happiness with Claire. We traveled the world together, embracing in the lavender fields of Provence and kissing by the Aegean Sea in Santorini. My business empire, managed by the ever-ambitious Alex, Victoria, and the rest of my team, grew larger and larger. The hashtag Ethan Cole didn't get up to either became a kind of good luck charm for the stock market. As long as I was relaxing, the investors were happy. One afternoon, we were lounging on beach chairs on our private island in the Maldives, sipping iced coconut water. Claire was curled up against me, scrolling through her phone. "Honey, look. Director Sterling just secured that billion-dollar diamond mine deal in Africa for us." "Oh, good for her." I mumbled lazily, not even opening my eyes. "Alex says he wants to commission a statue of you for the office lobby, modeled after you lying down, just like this." "Ridiculous," I chuckled. "Honey," she said, suddenly whispering in my ear, "should we maybe think about having a baby? Someone to inherit our coasting dynasty." I opened my eyes. I looked at her sparkling eyes, and my heart swelled. I rolled over, pinning her playfully beneath me. The sun filtered through the palm fronds, dappling our skin. "I think that is an excellent proposal." I lowered my head and captured her lips with mine. The sea breeze was gentle, the days were long and sweet. Perhaps I was brought to this world for one reason and one reason only, to meet her. And then, together, we would take the art of coasting to its absolute, blissful extreme. And that perhaps was the ultimate meaning of life.